Behind the facade of Baltimore's beautiful harbor lies a disturbing story. Every 8 hours, someone contracts HIV, the virus which causes AIDS. With more than 1,000 new HIV cases being reported each year, some parts of Baltimore have a higher HIV/AIDS prevalence rate than many African countries. 4 people infected with HIV have chosen to speak out about their lives for this film. Each contracted the virus in a different way. Each fought back from the depths of despair. Each fought stigma along with the deadly disease. And each one believes strongly that it is possible to live a productive and rewarding life while infected with HIV/AIDS. These are their stories. Mother-to-child transmission of HIV is small in numbers, but a powerful issue. These babies grow up never knowing what life is like without AIDS.
Wait the R, push R again.
Okay, gotcha.
R. That look like a pig.
I know, it's symbols.
Yes.
When Regina Free was quite young, her mother took her to the hospital for stitches in her head after a nasty fall. That's how Regina accidentally discovered she had the HIV virus.
So when they called me in, the doctor got ready to sew my head up, and he got his gloves on, and the nurse helped him. But then she started talking about, you better put your gloves on tight before you wind up with HIV. I overheard that because I was laying on the table. I overheard that. And my first instinct was to run. Because I didn't know what AIDS was. I just heard what everybody else told me. Everybody told me, well, AIDS gonna kill you. AIDS can kill you. And I heard this stuff on the news and all that stuff. And I said, how can I have that? How can I have that? And I asked my mother, was they talking about me? And she said, she couldn't say nothing really. She was crying. And I knew from there that my life was going to change. But I didn't know how. It was a long ride and quiet ride home. I remember that. I was thinking to myself that what is going to happen? I'm just going to die tomorrow.
Regina's mother, Rosemary, had unknowingly contracted HIV from her husband, an intravenous drug user. She then got pregnant with Regina.
He was an IV drug user, an undercover drug user. I say undercover because it's a different. Because the undercover addict is a person that can function around people normal, and nobody never know, not their mother, not their kids, not even the workplace. It has to take something to bring that behavior out. And he fooled a lot of people.
You got the compazine?
I got the compazine down here. You need one of them. Here, over here. You can do it over here.
Regina takes more than a dozen pills daily to thwart the devastating effects of HIV. The pills themselves can have awful side effects. Along with her battle against the virus, Regina has to fight the stigma of being HIV positive.
At first I tried to keep it a secret because I was ashamed of it. I was ashamed of it because I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. I was very, very scared at that time.
I tell her, you're going to hear the nasty remarks. You're going to hear people say, you got the bug. And the thing about it is that you have to hold your head up high and keep on going, because this is about survival and being smart.
One day, when Rosemary went to visit her daughter in school, she was surprised to find Regina using a segregated water fountain.
This one particular day, they all got up to go to the water fountain. So I'm watching the kids go into the hallway for their water, and Regina didn't go. I said, well, where you going? I said, aren't you going with your class? She said, no, my water fountain in the back of the room. So I said, what you mean your water fountain in the back of the room? She said, yeah, they just bought this water for me and told me I had to drink specifically out of that.
And she said, that ain't gonna happen to my baby. That's my baby. And she went out there and started fussing at the vice principal, but she wound up educating them in a kind of way. She told them that you can't get it on a water fountain. You can't get it by hugging. You can't get it by kissing. She told them everything. She set them straight, and they never did that again. They removed that water fountain.
6 years ago, when Regina watched her father slowly die from AIDS, she felt she might as well die too.
Even though my father gave me this disease, gave my mother the disease, and she gave it to me, even though that happened, I still love my father because he was a good father. And seeing him go from AIDS, I just looked at it as no point. Just might as well just let it take you and be gone. But I just said it's no point of fighting. That was how I felt because I seen him go, so I wanted to go with him. But I had to realize that it's more I have to do on this earth. And I'm not going to let AIDS take me away. And I'm not going to let it get the control over me because it's what I have, it's not who I am.
Today, Regina and her mother are invited to talk publicly about HIV and AIDS.
If you lie down with someone, you are taking that responsibility yourself. So the best way is to just say no. And I love those t-shirts y'all have on. I do. Because you know what?
It's the truth.
It's not the truth. Why is it the truth?
Because you always waiting for.
Right. That's right.
If he loves you, he'll wait for you.
That's right.
If I get to one person, it makes me happy. And I tell them that you should live life as it's your last day because you never know where you might go. And there's a plan for everybody. And don't look at life as a bad thing. Look at it as a good thing. And even though certain people have HIV, even though they have AIDS or HIV, think of HIV and AIDS as a new beginning, because you can start a new life with it.
Rosemary tries to help her daughter lead as normal a life as possible.
Prayer, reading the Bible, taking her to the movies, doing normal things, not making her feel as though every day HIV is an issue for her. I tell her that you have to take control of it. You can't let it take control of you.
But she doesn't try to hide the inevitable from her daughter.
I'm not scared of death because death is like just just sleeping. And I can do that, and I love sleeping. But my mother just put that thought in my head, just saying, don't be afraid of death. Just never be afraid of it.
In Baltimore, injection drug use accounts for 58% of transmissions of HIV. Baltimore leads the nation in the number of people who become infected by sharing dirty needles. David Waller is one of them.
My actions said that I was a moneymaker, a street hustler, a player, for lack of a better description.
David has served more than 20 years in prison for a variety of crimes.
Larceny, assault, theft, burglary, armed robbery, breaking and entering.
Sandra Montequin is David's sister.
I think David got a high from being a criminal. I honestly do. And the better he got at it, the more prestigious the bigger he felt.
Yes, I fired a gun. As a matter of fact, I was the guy who, when things got heavy, I was the one they would look to lead the way or resolve situations.
David was also a heavy drug user, and that's how he became HIV positive.
I couldn't say with any surety how I contracted HIV, but I can say that the fact that I was using heroin and cocaine intravenously and sharing needles is more probable than most.
While he was incarcerated, David became very sick and was taken to the prison infirmary.
I started talking with a slur, and my vision became not so clear, and my headache was like a migraine, 23 hours a day.
David actually died a couple of times and was never expected to live to the point he died one time when he was locked up. And they cleared out his cell, gave his stuff away because they didn't expect him to come back from the hospital.
They gave me medications. They gave me medications that had me shaking and convulsing. But after a period, I started settling down, and I became aware of what was going on around me.
David got better and got out of prison. He thought about changing his ways after serving so much prison time and coming so close to dying.
That didn't happen. I went right back out, started using drugs and mixing and mingling and things of that nature, and doing pretty much the same thing. But I limited my sharing of needles. And those who I was in the mix with, I made them aware that I was HIV positive.
That was in 1989. Then, several years later, he was arrested again and served 3 more years. When he came out in 1996, he was determined to change.
And when I looked at myself and what I wanted to not have to go to this again. I wanted to have a family and be a part of something good, something positive, and not to be known for a burglar, a thief, a drug addict, or anything of that nature.
This time, David married, settled down, and got a job. David's sister Sandra has seen the change in David's self-image.
Men, especially black men, they have a misconception of what manhood is. And I think he understands it now, because basically that's how I see him, as a full-grown man now.
I want to appreciate this day, and there's no appreciation in non-production, so I want to do something that makes a difference, that adds to, rather than laying the bed. My need to do something positive.
David has changed his risky behavior, but he can't change the past. So he looks forward, accepts the consequences of his actions, and works hard to be a positive role model.
We don't want to sit there and talk about how sick we're going to get and when, or how long will this medication work, or how did I get HIV, or where it came from, and is it a government conspiracy, and all those type things, because all those things are meaningless. It's a fact that we're HIV positive. It's a fact that as we know it, there's no cure. We have to take medication in order to not get sick. Those things are incorporated in us, and to the point where it's not necessary to think about them on such a conscious level. It becomes a part of our life. It's a part of what we do. It's a part of what we are.
"27% of HIV infections in Baltimore are transmitted heterosexually by people who practice unprotected sex and can't imagine that they could get AIDS. Kimberly is one of them.
I think I've been on a mission of unhappiness towards death since I was born, and then being, I just took risk after risk after risk.